you serious?
No hesitation on the shot. Mizrahi's feeling it. Make it 3 for 3. And Ciolino, see you later. Here's a chance for Sias, and there's a shot and a goal.
Will Spare will take it all the way. Touchdown Seahawks.
The extra look and the goal. A gorgeous goal by North. It's a Friday night at Cold Spring Harbor as the Varsity Media Sports Network opens the 2021 broadcast season with a doozy tonight, where we have the Seahawks of Cold Spring Harbor taking on the Vikings of Seaford. Good evening, everyone. Dylan Butler here with Mike Hungerford. And Mike, Friday night under the lights, fall football after the craziness of the spring. It's a nice feeling. You know, it's the code words are kind of like a return to normalcy, but it does feel that way, right? You come in here, big crowd. You've got the Burger Shack going, and a lot of excitement here for Friday Night Football.
You can check a lot of boxes, Dylan. It feels like it's supposed to be normal, like it's supposed to happen, and we're back to like what you're supposed to have on a Friday night. Two good teams kicking off the season, game one, haven't had it, and all the things that go along with it, and of course the backdrop of 9/11, which we'll have to obviously make quite a few references to. Yeah,
we'll get to that in a second. The Vikings come in with a 1-0 record. They kind of play that Week 0 game, if you will. It's a 13-team conference, Nassau Conference 4, which means there's an odd team out, which in fact was Cold Spring Harbor. So they had a first game bye, or Week 0 by Seaford, a big win over East Rockaway, and a debut as well for Michael Corcoran, the head coach, taking over for the legendary Rob Paul. Not easy to fill those shoes.
Definitely not. Rob Paul, one of the great high school coaches in Long Island history. Seaford, traditionally one of the great high school programs, one of the dominant programs in Conference 4 on Long Island for quite a while, and certainly big shoes to fill. But I mean, they have quite a few good players to work with. So, you know, having some talent will certainly offset having a new staff.
Without a doubt. And again, we'll get to a lot more of the specifics as we get closer to game time. We're just a few minutes away from what will be a special ceremony here of, as you mentioned, Mike, it's tomorrow, the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. There's not a community, certainly in the New York area, that wasn't affected. Cold Spring Harbor, certainly one of those as well. They're going to have a terrific ceremony, and it's the reason why we wanted to come on, obviously, significantly earlier than we normally would, just to kind of show you a lot of what they have planned. And, you know, it was kind of crazy. You walk in from the school, they had the two ladders with a huge American flag between them. I went to way too many firefighter funerals, and that was that's what you did, right? Like you had the two ladders up and the flag. So special ceremony here. We'll break down the players, the coaches, the impacts. All that kind of right now is secondary to the ceremony that we'll have right now. We'll send it down to the field as they are just about set for this ceremony.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jill Girash, the Superintendent of Schools for the Cold Spring Harbor School District. Welcome to our September 11th, 20th anniversary remembrance ceremony. Tonight, we kick off the football season at Seahawk Stadium with our Seaford guests and to cheer on our Cold Spring Harbor varsity football team. I want to thank all of you for coming to support our students and to pay tribute to our heroes on the 20th anniversary of the horrific September 11th attack on American soil. Tonight, we respectfully recognize and honor our heroes, the brave members of the armed forces, local fire and police, survivors, and the loved ones we lost 20 years ago. We are here to remember the nearly 3,500 lives taken so swiftly and cruelly, taken on 9/11 and in the following days and years to follow. We are here to preserve their memory and to let them know Cold Spring Harbor holds them all close in our hearts. And on this anniversary, to know they will not be forgotten. To show our strength and solidarity, we brought our community together to wave a flag, say thank you, and show our respect for our heroes and this great nation. I would be remiss if I didn't thank and acknowledge a few special people. Planning an event such as this one takes a terrific team of people that care deeply about our country, this school district, and our extended families. I want to thank Mr. Joseph Monacero, our Director of Technology, Mr. Dan Dambuski, our high school principal, Mr. Brian Graham, Director of Facilities, Mr. Brent Chiarillo, Director of Music, and Ms. Karen Mosier, Director of Humanities, for assisting and organizing the event. Please join me in giving a round of applause. I want to send a special thank you to our local fire department and Chief Steve Fitz for your eagerness to join us and make this ceremony extra special. Now at this time, I want to invite our elementary students to come down to wave some flags. I ask that you please walk over to the Seahawk and pick up your flag, and then you're going to be directed to walk on the track. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to turn the program over to our high school principal, Mr. Dan Dambuski.
Thank you, Ms. Garish. Good evening. 20 years after our nation was attacked, the events of September 11, 2001 may be fading in the minds of some Americans. But for these men and women who we will recognize tonight, who spend their lives in the service of others, whether it be in the fire service, law enforcement, or the military, the memories of the terrorist attacks that took so many lives remain fresh. As the years since September 11th continue to pass, which they will, what bigger lessons can we take with us? What can we hold close besides the memories of the loved ones and the heroes that were all lost, whether civilian and sworn? We can hold the idea of service, the idea of giving a small piece of us back as we remember what those heroes tried to do for the victims of a senseless terrorist attack. What better way to honor the memory of the fallen than to recognize the following groups for their commitment of service? It is my distinct privilege to introduce tonight's honors guests. Please join me in welcoming this evening's honor guard. Please join me in welcoming members of our armed services, both active and retired. Please join me in welcoming active and retired members of our law enforcement community. Please join me in welcoming active and retired first responders and members of the firefighting community. We pay special tribute tonight for staff and students who lost a loved one due to the attacks on September 11th. At this time, please join me in welcoming the cheerleading and varsity football squads of Cold Spring Harbor and Seaford. And now please welcome the Cold Spring Harbor cheerleaders and football players. If I could now ask my elementary student volunteers who came to read the Pledge of Allegiance, I ask everyone to please stand for the pledge and then remain standing for the national anthem performed by Isabel Apostolakos.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Isabel. Good evening, and thank you for coming out tonight to honor our heroes. Today we come together as Americans, not as the Cold Spring Harbor School District, not as the Seaford School District, but as Americans. We come here to remember what occurred 20 years ago and never forget that day. We honor all those that have lost their lives protecting us. We honor the first responders who ran into the inferno, never to come out. We honor the police officers who lost their lives evacuating the towers. We honor the air travelers who did not make it to their planned destinations that day. We honor the people who lost their lives working in the towers. We honor all the lives that were lost during the attack and the countless lives that have been lost since September 11th, protecting us from evil. We are here to honor the military, police officers, firefighters, first responders, and everyone who continues to protect us. We are here to honor all those who continue to sacrifice and protect our ways of life every day. We are here to honor the heroes who run towards danger when we run away from it. We are here to thank you and honor you. to let you know we support you, to let you know that we have not forgotten your sacrifices. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you for coming to tonight's remembrance. Thank you for coming out to tonight's remembrance event. Please take care of yourself, and if you can, take care of somebody else. As the heroes leave the field, the brass ensemble will play Grand Old Flag. Thank you.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Giulo over the middle. He's got a man. It's complete. Ciolino. See you later.
Going long, wide open, Perazzi, he gets it, Perazzi, foot raise, 10, 5, make it, touchdown! Punch, counter punch!
The trickery, Ryder gets it back, goes over the top for Haberman.
What a catch! Just Ross Simmons strips him, that's loose, and Ross Simmons is gonna take this the other direction. Make it, touchdown, touchdown East!
the season winds down, don't let the memories of an unusual season fade. Let Varsity Media relive the season filled with great plays, exhilaration, and joy with a highlight video. For the athletes going to college, Varsity Media's recruiting videos have been the engine that drives the application to the coach. Our history has shown a Varsity Media recruiting video has saved parents hundreds of thousands of dollars. For the athletes not yet ready for college, a Varsity Media highlight video will be remembered forever, and the highlights will be there for life. An end-of-season team highlight video will capture a successful season filled with hard work, unpredictability, a testament to the administration and athletes. Call Varsity Media today to start creating a video filled with highlights from a very unusual season. Highlights that will forever be watched. Contact us at 516-403-2050.
Behind the back! Are you serious?
No hesitation on the shot. Mizrahi's feeling it. Make
Wow.
it 3 for 3. And Ciolino, see you later. Here's a chance for Sias, and then there's a shot and a goal.
Will Spare will take it all the way! Touchdown Seahawks!
The extra look and the goal. A gorgeous goal by
We welcome you back to Cold Spring Harbor High School. Dylan Butler, Mike Hungerford here. Tremendous ceremonies that we brought to you before this one, and now we are set for football. You see there the huddle of the Seahawks of Cold Spring Harbor, the preseason number 4 seed, taking on the second seeded Vikings of Seaford. Seaford 1-0. Coming off a 48-14 win over East Rockaway, that week 0 win. Mike, the leader in that game, and we expect certainly throughout the season, is their number 1, literally their number 1 in James McHugh. Look, Seaford is synonymous for terrific running backs, right? This isn't just the system guy. He's got the speed and the tenacity to boot as well. What a week 1 that he had. 8 carries, 149 yards, 3 touchdowns. He will be a tough guy to take down.
Sure. Seaford, like you mentioned before, traditionally we always have strong running games, strong running backs, and he'll be a great running back at any school in Nassau County. I'll tell you that right now. He's got balance, speed, aggression, physical play, drops his pads, does everything for the everything you could want out of a running back.
And again, those stats that we gave you from week 1, all those stats at the bottom of your screen, that's in 2 quarters of football. Did not play the second half against East Rockaway. So we'll stay on theme, right, with the running backs, and we'll take a look at Cold Spring Harbor's leader there. It's number 5, the senior Charles Talkis, and he's a guy, a captain, a quiet leader, but he's one of those leaders of example. As good as he is as their lead back, maybe even better as a inside linebacker, so he'll impact the game on both sides of the football.
Sure, Talkis is gonna there's gonna be some collisions today. I'd like to think between McHugh and Talkis along the way. In this kind of physical football game, it's going to happen. If Talkis, that physical kind of inside linebacker, you like kind of running your defense, controlling things, and like you said, quiet, doesn't say a whole lot, but gets the job done.
Yeah, last year, Cold Spring Harbor 5-2. Their 2 losses, both to North Shore, 21-0. We had that for you on the Varsity Media Sports Network. That was in the semifinal. Seaford also losing in the semifinals to Wantagh. Of course, Wantagh moving up with that whole up and down. A lot of teams do. Wantagh back up, so they're not in Conference 4 this year. We mentioned the head coaches, and for Seaford, as we said in the early part of this game, it's Mike Corcoran. Now, Rob Perpal was the leader, was the head coach of this team for 21 years, 165 wins, 9 Nassau titles, 2 Long Island championships. But what you like a little bit here, it's not necessarily the continuity of an assistant to the head coach, but Mike Corcoran spent a lot of time as an assistant under Rob Perpall from 2002 to 2011, so he knows this Seaford program well.
Sure, very experienced in the program, knows kind of how Coach Perpall did business and how they went about doing things. And he spent some time in some other quality programs as well. Last year was at Bethpage, I believe, assisting, right? So comes here as the head coach and gets to run the show. Very exciting for him. Obviously, week 2 for him, but week 1 for us, but week 2 for him, and certainly an exciting situation.
Yeah, he says, look, I'm not going to fill those shoes. What he did speaks for itself. I'm just trying to be myself. He said a lot of the plays will be the same, just the terminology is a little bit different. Mike Corcoran, in his first year as head coach here at Seaford, but as you said, a lot of experience. A 1989 graduate of Holy Trinity, went on and played at Iona College. After his stint as a Seaford assistant, spent 4 years as a Roslyn head coach, 2 as an East Meadow assistant with the running backs and the Bethpage assistant, as you mentioned, a year ago, teaches in the district. So, again, he knows these kids well. The head coach of Cold Spring Harbor in his 6th season is John Mendreski out of Sachem, a 1994 graduate. He's led this team to some great performances. Obviously, the last couple of years last year in the semifinals, the year before that, in the last meeting between these two teams, lost at Hofstra to Seaford in the Nassau Class 4 championship game.
Cold Spring Harbor also traditionally one of the better programs in Nassau County in the small schools in Conference 4, and John's done a great job with the program, keeping it going with small numbers, and it does a great job coaching them and finds ways to win in all different ways, offensively running different sets and different things, and it's interesting to see what they have going here tonight.
And as you mentioned, right, is there an edge to be had because Seaford played last week, Cold Spring Harbor didn't? Well, Mendreski said, I kind of like it that way. It gives us that extra week of preparation, plus you get to see your opponent on film, where the same isn't true the other way. So he kind of figures, look, extra week, you'd rather have that bye now than later in the year. Like once you get going, and you know it as a coach, once you get going, you don't want to necessarily stop. You want to kind of continue on. So he'll have 8 weeks of football straight, which certainly we expect Cold Spring Harbor to be one of the better teams, so you get that momentum going from week 1 to week 8.
Sure, when you talk about the bye isn't really one game. It's 2 weeks of football without a game. It's a long time to practice. Football is not always the most exciting practice sport at times, and can be a little tough. And to go that stretch without a game is very hard. So now they had the bye early on, and now they're going to play straight through, as opposed to Seaford will get it mixed in somewhere. So depending how the game goes, we'll see who had the advantage, right, in playing or not playing last week, Dylan.
100%. One maybe different thing that we're seeing from Seaford, not under Rob Perpall. These guys didn't onside kick once last week. Mike Corcoran said he's not answered a question more than about onside kicking. That's because Mike Garcia here has been phenomenal. This one, a kick right fielded at about the 12-yard line. Out to midfield. Good return, and Cold Spring Harbor will get going just inside their own 40-yard line.
Dylan, whenever you can start outside your, just beyond your 30, 35-yard line is a great situation statistically, scoring points. Anytime you get outside that 30, you're in great shape.
So good return there by Jake Rogers. He will stay on, and we'll show you the starters after this first play as Cold Spring Harbor in the huddle here as they'll get going from their own 36-yard line. So about a 24-yard return or so there. Under center, C.J. Riley, hands off, and not much there. A gain of 1, it appears, and we'll show you those Cold Spring Harbor starting offense now. That was Berto with the run. So here you see the Cold Spring Harbor offense. Quarterback, C.J. Riley. You see the backfield, Taucus and Kipnis. Now, we just saw Berto, of course. You see the receivers, Rogers, O'Connor. Tight ends, Phelan up front, Marino, McKean, Riley, Degnan, and D'Amelio. 2nd down and 8. And again, a run out to the 41-yard line. We'll show you the Seaford defense. Here they are. Kellner, Schneider, O'Donnell, and Alzheimer up front. Well, with Arguello as well. The linebackers of McHugh, Murphy, Barone, and Kofod. And the secondary is Rauchi and Navin. So they certainly stack the box, expecting a lot of teams to run. This, though, 3rd and 5, so potentially a passing down here. Again, just under center is Riley. Takes it himself, and he will get stopped well short of the first down marker.
So first series there, Coach Spring Harbor comes out in the double tight, power I formation. Couple inside runs and then a little lead options with Riley there. Leaves him a little bit short of the first down. He have 4th and about a long 2, long 3, almost 4.
And Cold Spring, Seaford playing like they will go. Although you see deep is Rogers. He is the punter. So you've got 2 men deep for Seaford. 4th and 3 from the 43. Just underway. It's Cold Spring Harbor, and our first flag of the game is thrown by the officials.
Seaford signaling it looks like some movement on Cold Spring Harbor up front on the interior lineman there, and that is the case.
So now I think if there was any question of whether to go or not, you back them back 5 yards. I'm pretty certain that they will punt in this situation. Again, it's Rogers, your return man as well. The 2 deep men now push themselves up to the 40-yard line. High snap. A nice punt by Rogers, fielded at the 35-yard line. Looks like that's McHugh. And he is pulled down. I believe that was 1, right, that we saw.
Yep.
And now it's Seaford who will take over. Oh, Navin had the carry, 7, not 1. So Seaford will start from their own 44-yard line.
Great. Dylan, great start for the Seaford guys. Good series on defense, 3 and out. Get the ball back in great field position on their own 44-yard line.
So here we go, 1st and 10. Quarterback Kyle Stark under center. Hands off. And good team tackling there. Looks like a no gain for Seaford. We'll show you their starting offense now. As McKean got the tackle, a no gain for Seaford on 1st down. Actually, Seaford quick to get to the line. We'll get those starters again in a second. Here's the handoff, McHugh. Excuse me, that's 3, Kofod, and he gets a 1st down run.
Yep, little counter action there, Dylan. Came back against the grain there with a little counter back.
So again, Seaford's offense, it's Stark at quarterback. You've got McHugh, Kofod, Arguello as your backfield. You've got the tight end of Murphy, Navin, the wide receiver up front. Alzheimer, Schiller, Cole, Donovan, and Kellner. 1st down run up the middle and pushing to about the 40. Looks like that was McHugh.
That's exactly what Seaford wants to do, Dylan. They get 4 yards right there, and good four, a little more than 4 yards, and they're just that's their game right there. 4 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards. Slowly but surely, they're gonna weigh it down. Eventually, he'll break one.
2nd down run, and again, McHugh pushes forward, gets about 2 or 3 more. We'll show you the Cold Spring Harbor defense as we have this opportunity. Up front, you've got Phelan, Stern, Kipnis, and O'Grady, linebackers of Degnan, McKean, Talkis, and Berto. In the secondary, it's O'Connor, C.J. Riley, and Jake Rogers. Big 3rd down here, 3rd and 3 from the 37-yard line. Stark again under center. A little bit of movement, no flags. Pushing forward, churning the legs. It looks to be a 1st down run.
Great situation for Seaford to be in there right there. 3rd and 3, 4 down territory for sure. The offensive coordinator is looking at 2 plays there. They get it in 1. Little blast there. In and out of the huddle, very fast Seaford.
Yeah, they
Not
are. They
spending
want
a
to
lot
move
of time.
100%. They want to move quick. 1st and 10 from the Cold Spring Harbor 33.
Little counter again.
Yeah, this is Kofod to the outside. Ball's on the turf. And it looks like it bounced out of bounds. So a break there for Seaford. Kofod bounced to the outside. Good pursuit, though. Looked like C.J. Riley 4 might have gotten a piece.
Yeah, it looks like right there. It looked like it might have been down before the ball came out, right or out of bounds, one or the other. Seaford guys seem to have found a little something trying to run that counter play back to the single receiver side, the split there, away from the tight end. We'll see if they come back to that.
3-man backfield, 2nd and 8 from the 31. Back to pass, sideline, and that's incomplete. Kyle Stark, the quarterback. Now, they don't throw the ball a lot in Seaford, right? Obviously, we see why. Because they're so good at the run, not because Stark can't throw. How about week 1? Stark 1 of 2 in pass attempts. His one completion was a touchdown, a 23-yard touchdown. So doesn't throw it often, but, hey, you take 50% in a score any day of the week.
Running teams like Seaford, teams that pound the ball the way they do, they try to fit that passing play just the right moment where you're not ready for it. Taking a deep shot there.
Handoff comes to our side. It's McHugh trying to get to the edge, and McHugh forced out well. Pushed out by Riley. O'Connor also in pursuit. They didn't quite let him turn that corner. And it'll be a 4th down. You certainly, now again, Seaford's got a good kicker, but.
They're in 4th down territory here on 4th and 1. McHugh got a little bit more than I thought he got there, Dylan. He got a little bit turn there, able to knock him out of bounds. But you can see him a toss play to the wide side, how quick he is.
4th and 1. You've got Naven at the bottom of your screen, but we certainly expect a run here. Little cadence, the push, and the 1st down run. Good downhill running by McHugh.
Up, they motioned the power back to the other side of the formation and just ran a simple lead play to the right and got just what they needed.
One thing Corcoran says about McHugh is, he'll get the headlines for his ability to run the football, but not afraid, certainly of contact. We see that on the other side of the football. He will block for his guys as well. He's not one of those prima donna running backs who's not afraid to get dirty. Fresh set of downs. Stark hands off. It's again McHugh turns. And good tackle there by Riley. Lost his lid, so he'll be forced off because of that. But that's a fun matchup there with Riley and McHugh.
Playing safety coming downhill, filling on those runs. Against an offense like this, you're going to need your safeties and your secondary players to play close to the box and help in the running game, give you the extra hat against the run.
So that a gain of 5 gets Seaford to the 17-yard line. Motioning is Kofod. Handoff, it's McHugh again. Follows the block, gets to the outside, cuts back inside, and he is inside the 10, and a late flag as well. So we'll see if this isn't one of these face masks at the end of the play, and we'll await the decision. But certainly it appears Seaford in 1st down and goal territory here.
It's going to have to probably be, and you'll see an adjustment as the game wears on by the Cold Spring Harbor defense with that motion with the power back there. It seemed to be maybe a man short on that when the power back motion to the other side, and they ran that lead play there. Kind of a big hole kind of opened up man on a man there.
You see the stats there from McHugh already, 8 carries, 35 yards. It was a face mask penalty, so they'll go half the distance here. So 1st and goal from it appears to be the 2-yard line. And Stark can maybe go keeper here. Instead, hands off, barreling forward. No indication yet, and not in. It looks like he got a yard, was McHugh.
Good penetration right there. This Cold Spring on the defensive line, down by the goal line, dealing low man wins. Got to get under a guy's pads, and low man usually is successful. Looks like Jesse Phelan might have been in there. Number 21 seemed to come off the pile first, kind of submarine the play a little bit. But they got 4 shots here. It'll be hard to keep Seaford out here.
Yeah, 2nd and goal from the 1. Kofod again motions to the left. Stark under center. Hands off to go the other way. Good defense there by Cold Spring Harbor. Nowhere to go there for McHugh.
Great fill. I didn't get the number there, Dylan, but great fill by the linebacker, inside linebacker right there. That was tremendous.
I believe it was Taucus 5. And that's that matchup that we talked about,
our
right?
Impact,
our two
impact players getting after it right there. Yep.
So no gain there. 3rd and goal now for Seaford.
See if Seaford tries to go wide here, maybe. No.
They don't, but again, McHugh going nowhere. The first contact came from 12.
Andrew Stern.
It's Andrew Stern.
Undersized defensive lineman there, splitting the gap right there, right?
Phelan in there as well. That's a loss of a yard. So now it's 4th and 2.
Maybe the Cold Spring Harbor defense heard me, Dylan. I said it was going to be pretty hard to keep him out, keep Seaford out on 4 cracks at it, but they got 1 down now. You're Cold Spring Harbor coaching staff. You just got to win 1 down right now. Got to win 1 down.
Here we go. 4th and goal from the 2. Cutting inside, it's a touchdown. Tom Kofod gives Seaford the 6-0 lead.
Came back with that counter play there. Right, Dylan, they've been running a little bit before. They ran to the left a few times, and now they came back to the right with it. Everybody thinks McHugh's getting it, right? 4th and goal from the 2-yard line, and they give it to Kofod instead.
One of the things that Corcoran likes about Kofod, he's a guy that can do a lot of different things. He can split them out wide, can run patterns. He had 2 carries in week 1, scored a touchdown as well. Another one of those tough guys in the blocking game. Extra point is up, and it is good. So Seaford knocked on the door there and finally punched it in on 4th down. It was Kofod with the 2-yard touchdown run to give Seaford the 7-0 lead. You're watching this Nassau Conference 4 showdown right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Over the middle, he's got a man. It's complete. Ciolino. See you later.
Going long, wide open, Perazzi, he gets it, Perazzi, foot raise, 10, 5, make it, touchdown, punch, counter punch.
The trickery, Ryder gets it back, goes over the top for Haberman.
What a catch! Just Ross Simmons strips him, that's loose, and Ross Simmons is going to take this the other direction. Make it! Touchdown! Touchdown East!
We welcome you back to Cold Spring Harbor. Week 1 for the Varsity Media Sports Network. Game 1 here as well. We'll have another one tonight as well. It's Division and Southside, and we'll have Garden City and Baldwin tomorrow as well. We thank you so much for joining us. It's 7-0 for Seaford. 4:08 left in the first quarter. Tom Kofod, the 2-yard touchdown run on 4th and goal. Garcia, the point after. And now Garcia kicks off. It is Rogers again. Had a good return on the opening kickoff, and another pretty good one as well. Gets outside the 30-yard line, and let's see Cold Spring Harbor's response to trailing early on.
Yeah, the Cold Spring Harbor a little bit to build on. I mean, there was a pretty lengthy drive there by Seaford, and they had some nice defensive plays within the drive, forced Seaford to score on 4th down. Now you kind of have to get a drive going. They went 3 and out the first time, gave Seaford some good field position on the punt. Got to try to establish a few first downs here, Dylan, by Cold Spring Harbor, and try to get some continuity here of some plays, some things that work for you along the way here.
We didn't mention on the air, but what's a cool sort of thing here for Cold Spring Harbor, your center is Reagan Riley, right, the sophomore? He's handed off to his older brother, CJ, every play here as well. This time the run goes to the far side, and it looks like it was Taucus again for the short gain.
This series, Cold Spring Harbor comes out, they were in the power eye with a double tight. The first series, they come out in a shotgun set here, more of a spread look. And they run, looks like a trap or a power play off of that. for a short gain. Good defense by the Seaford guys there, holding it to a short gain. I thought it was going to go for a little more than that.
A year ago, C.J. Riley was QB2. Was supposed to start that playoff game against North Shore. COVID protocol was lost just a few hours before that start of the game in that wild, crazy spring season. Another run here on second down, and pushing forward for a short gain again was Taucus. Taucus and Berto give you that sort of double look where Taucus is more that downhill physical runner, and Berto kind of likes to get to the outside and bounce around, maybe a little bit more speed from Berto. So they'll split time a lot, those two running backs here tonight.
A good two-headed combo there for Cold Spring Harbor, kind of like in the NFL these days, never a one-man show anymore, right? The running back situation is usually divvied up between a few guys.
So 3rd and 5. Motions, high snap, Riley, hands off, turning, spinning, Taucus keeps the legs going for a first down.
It's a really nice run by Taucus right there. Had him dodge some interference right there with a bit of penetration early on. Thought this, the toss might have been a bit low, but he did a great job getting some yardage here and making a first down out of it. It's exactly what Cold Spring Harbor needed right there, Dylan, with a little continuity, a little stability, another set of downs.
What you're seeing from Taucus, that downhill tough kid, well, Mendreski says he's like Richie Striano 2.0. Just give him 2 hands on the rock and he just goes north. Taucus already 3 carries for 12 yards to lead the way. Riley again in shotgun, motions. And a little bit maybe too much motion going on there as the flags fly. That was O'Connor motioning.
Let's have a big round of applause for your Cold Spring Harbor cheerleader.
I don't know if they're saying there were 2 men in motion there at the same time. It's not the CFL. Can't be going forward and can't have 2 men in motion.
Well, there's some confusion certainly. You see Mendreski and C.J. Riley both kind of with arms extended, like what are we doing here? What's going on? So they will back him up 5 yards.
I thought he made a delay of game signal there for a second. Or men on the line. I'm not sure. That's a little confusing right there.
Yeah, I didn't see the white hat actually make like a call, right?
Coach Mendreski's not happy right now with the situation.
Well, I wouldn't be either, right? I mean, you're cooking, right? You're pushing the ball. You get your first down, a little momentum going, and flag goes. But I think it's more kind of about the confusion on what the call was.
I'm a little confused myself on what took place there, but we'll try to get a clarification somehow.
Well, what we do know is it's a loss of 5, so it's 1st and 15 from the Cold Spring Harbor 39 as a minute 52 is left in this first quarter.
You mentioned C.J. Riley, a quarterback, very good athlete, excellent lacrosse player in the spring, and I'd like to see if maybe he can get to the edge of the defense here and run around a little bit, see if they have it in the package for him.
Again, the motion is Kipnis. Handoff, we go the other way, and there's the push. So you get those yards back and a few more. Aiden Berto with the run.
Great job by Berto. Was very shifty right there. One made a man miss right away, right? And, the goal of every running back we say all the time is you got to make the good ones make men miss. They make tacklers miss. And a nice run there by Berto.
Another captain is Berto. And he's 3 carries for 15 yards. So I think in those 2 plays right there, we saw the difference, right, between Taucus, the physical kind of between tackles runner, and Berto, who could bounce it to the outside. Cold Spring Harbor, I believe.
I think the clock might be incorrect. I think that might be the quarter right there. That clock may be a little bit off. I know that's the officials. Might not be the official time because there's no.
Yeah, it looks like they're switching fields, right? So we'll take a quick break and we'll get it right back here at Cold Spring Harbor after 1 quarter. It's Seaford with a 7-0 lead over Cold Spring Harbor. You're watching this Nassau Conference 4 Showdown on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Varsity Media is the tri-state area's leader in sports media production. We specialize in live streaming.
Gargiulo over the middle. He's got a man. It's complete. And Ciolino. See you later. Touchdown, Massapequa.
Videography. and photography. Covering all sports at all levels. We feature aerial photography and videography, college recruiting videos, live streaming of games.
Top of the key, Smith, why not? Wow. Bang! McKee, first down and more! Charlie McKee! Touchdown, Oceanside!
School events, graduations. Varsity Media is available to cover a game, a tournament, a season, or any special event.
Talk to us a little bit about what went through your mind, how you prepared for.
We welcome you back to Cold Spring Harbor. Dylan Butler, Mike Hungerford, 2nd and 5 right at midfield here for Cold Spring Harbor. First play of the second quarter. Handoff left. It's Berto trying to get to the outside. Oh, it's a fantastic tackle.
Great job right there coming up on a corner, I believe it was, making that play.
A.J. Barone with the tackle, the linebacker.
Great job getting over there. I mean, I think they kind of had a man for him, but just couldn't get him blocked. Great job, Anthony, getting off the block and making the play. I think that, the Seahawks are trying to run wide a little bit now. They didn't have too much success the first series running up inside on Seaford. Now they're trying to get the edge in the corner on them. They've run a few good plays. But after that 5-yard penalty, Dylan, they get some yardage back, but now they're in that 3rd and 7.5 situation again, which is not ideal.
And they rushed to the line, and they was forced to call a timeout. I think they were in the huddle a little bit too long. I think there was a concern there of maybe a delay of game, right? And so they had to call a timeout. We'll keep it here, though, and we spoke to Mendreski leading up to this one, a thought maybe or two of this group heading into the season. And the Cold Spring Harbor coach said, I think speed is probably one of our biggest assets, really on both sides of the football. A lot of athletes in skilled positions who are back as well. He said that's good for us. Overall, though, a pretty young team, though, but he said he's confident in where he is. Talk about a murderer's row here to start the season. Again, you had that week 0 where you had the bye, which he liked. I don't know how much he necessarily likes having to go Seaford and North Shore back-to-back in weeks 1 and 2, but I mean, look, kind of where you are right after those two games.
After those two, you play maybe the two best teams, and now you got to face the rest, right?
And look, you get a split from those two. I think you take that if you're Cold Spring Harbor. 3rd and 6. Again, Kipnis in motion. Riley hands off. It's Berto looking for blockers. Gets one upfield. Ball's in the turf. It's Seaford ball. Recovering, number 85, Jack Murphy.
It's an unfortunate turn of events for Cold Spring Harbor right there. It looked like Berto might have had the first down right there, in that traffic. Ball kind of comes out, and Seaford roll around it, and they fall on it.
Berto looked to cut. We'll see it again here. Looks like he tried right there. He tries to cut it back in, and at that point is when he got stripped, and Murphy fell on the football.
It was tough there. He kind of used that ball for a little bit of balance there, Dylan, instead of like that 5 points of pressure, pin it up against that breastplate a little bit, and you can get away with it so much, and it's so successful sometimes, but at the wrong moments, tough right there, tough break.
So Seaford starts at their own 47-yard line. They've had great field position throughout. Their touchdown drive started at the 44. Man in motion, the handoff goes to McHugh. Pushes forward right out towards right at the 50-yard line to a gain of 3 for McHugh on first down.
It's funny, the first series, Dylan, Seaford was pretty much in the same formation the entire time, and now they come out in a little bit different look with an offset eye formation with a split receiver and a man in motion. So both teams with a different set, a different formation, and some different sets the next series.
13 carries already for McHugh, 47 yards on the day, 2nd and 7. Kofod in motion, gets it, falls though, so it looks like he got stripped there with Stark. They just sort of got their legs tangled up. A break there for Cold Spring Harbor because it'll be a loss of 4 yards.
They're trying to run that jet sweep action, that fly sweep action there across the formation, and looks like his feet got a little tangled up. You know, fly sweep's a great play, and it looks so good when you run it when it's going well. It's all about timing, though, Dylan. That timing has to be there early in the season. I bet you watch him run that 3 weeks from now. It's going to look way different, and puts him in 3rd and 11 right now.
Yeah, maybe another passing situation here. Stark does go back to pass. Angles for Navin. He gets pulled down, but past the first down marker. So a 3rd down conversion for Seaford.
Ran a slant there. Skinny post slant look. Looks like it was man coverage right there with Jake Rogers. It was pretty good coverage. I mean, the ball was delivered real well. Great catch. Tackled him pretty much right after he caught it. But a 1st down for Seaford.
Yeah, Corcoran said Navin didn't get a show too much in week 1, but he's impressed in practice. A good, reliable hands. He can block. Sharp route runner, as we saw there. Fresh set of downs. 1st and 10. Handoff McHugh. Pushes forward. That's a good tackle right at the feet by 12, Andrew Stern.
Yeah, he made a play before, Dylan, down the goal line before. He gets off the ball he gets off the ball very fast and gets in that gap and low man again, you know. I think what you're going to see is Seaford starting to recognize right now that Cold Spring Harbor's playing man coverage on the split receiver right now. They're trying to commit that safety to the box to help. Yeah, I think you might see the ball go up a little bit more, Dylan. May take a couple more shots with it.
No gain, 2nd and 10. Back under center is Stark. Goes back, plenty of time. Fires one downfield. Incomplete. Double coverage there by Cold Spring Harbor. I think the intended target, you see it there, 25, is T.J. Harrington.
The safety Riley got over the top a little late because he's starting from a fairly tight position to the line of scrimmage at about 8-9 yards, but the ball was in the air for a while. They able to get over the top. But pretty good coverage again by the Seahawks.
3rd and 10. Kind of figured this is 4-down territory as well, considering where you are and how you got the football. Stark play action under pressure, and he's forced down. Good defense there. The pressure by Phelan, the end. A returning two-way starter.
Jesse Phelan, impressive-looking athlete, great lacrosse player. You know, headed to Lehigh, played lacrosse at Lehigh University. Very good defenseman, and he got up the field right there and pressured the quarterback. And you know, if you're Cold Spring Harbor, right, you kind of that series, you kind of got to see for guys out of their bread and butter, maybe a little bit their running game, and you won a few downs right there. 4th and 10. It looks like they might be punting here, Dylan.
Yeah, O'Connor is the deep man. Looking to punt here is Sean Costello, the junior. Watch McHugh, though, if they do go for a fake. And it looks like Seaford will talk things over. We'll keep it here.
You can tell they were getting that formation, Dylan, and all the Cold Spring Harbor guys were pointing at McHugh as that protector, right, the up back. They all see him in there, and that's one of those things you teach in high school football because a lot of two-way guys, and a lot of guys like to put their really good athletes in those spots, the punter, the protector and stuff, and have all kinds of fakes and plays to them. So the Cold Spring Harbor guys were not surprised.
There you see the huddle. We talked about Corcoran before, kind of taking over, not filling the shoes of Perpal. Interesting note here as well. Not only did Corcoran coach with Perpal, right, from 2002 to 11. How about this? He was coached by Perpal when Corcoran was 12 years old with the Levittown Red Devils. So they go way back, Corcoran and Perpal.
Dylan Butler digging deep on the facts right there. He's an investigative body right there. That's great information. Though Rappaport been in the game on Long Island for a very long time. Excellent coach, and I guess no doubt it appears that Coach Cork will do a fine job here with the program continuing.
And again, too, Corcoran was a young coach, or got his first coaching job as an assistant under Perpal after graduating from Iona. Costello angles his punt end over end. It takes a bounce at the 20, and it just about dies. It's downed. It looks to be about, the 13, 14
12
yard
or 13
line.
Yard line, it looks like.
So Costello does the job, and he pins Cold Spring Harbor deep.
Yeah, if you Seaford, you're up 7-0. You've had the better of the play. You've stopped Cold Spring Harbor twice. You got a turnover and made him punt, And you figure, you're up 7-0. Let's punt it deep and see where we can pin them, see if we can get a stop again and win the field position battle. So, good. I think overall, good decision by Seaford to play some more defense and force the Cold Spring Harbor guys to move the ball.
Yeah, because Rogers has done a good job returning, so he's gotten them out to like the 30, 35. This is the worst field position Cold Spring Harbor's had. They started at the 36, the 31, and now from the 14. Shotgun is Riley. Look out. Here comes the pressure, and Riley is gobbled up. A host of Vikings in on the sack.
Riley, I think, looked at his primary read and then tried to come off of it and didn't have much time there. There was a bit of a break-in, and that all kind of went south on him pretty fast. If you're the Cold Spring Harbor guy, you're saying to yourself, you're inside your 20, just try to get a first down and have 2 first down before you have to punt. Maybe flip the field position a little bit.
56, Jack Kellner, one of those in on the sack, which ended up being a loss of 5. 2nd and 15 from the Cold Spring Harbor 9-yard line. 7:53 and counting left in the first half. This time is the handoff. And again, good pursuit to the football by the Vikings. It was the run by Taucus, but he doesn't get much. If anything, it looks like it's a no gain there.
That was a good scrape and fill right there by the Seaford Vikings. That's a big collision on the ball right there. Right now you're starting to see the Seaford defensive line, kind of taking over a little bit and winning the line of scrimmage, right, and gaining the line of scrimmage right there. Cold Spring Harbor not getting much push, and the Seaford guys pushing it back a little bit.
The leader of that group, without question, is Kellner, 56 on the edge. One of the captains loves the physicality, does not back down. High motor, high intensity kind of guy. Shotgun, Riley. Time, throws it long, and that is incomplete. The closest to that ball was A.J. Barone, the linebacker for Seaford. So difficult situation here for Cold Spring Harbor, and that's why you did punt, right? Because now you pin them deep. You're going to get better field position than you would have had you gone for it on 4th down before.
Yeah, you're definitely going to get, looks like probably better field position than you would have had before. And the clock stopped on the incompletion. So you're going to get, about 6 minutes and 45 seconds to work with, which for Seaford, they could run that down to 0 and that their running game possibly at the halftime.
Deep for Seaford is McHugh. And he's also got Rouchy there as well. McHugh back by the 50. Rouchy about 8 yards ahead of him. Now McHugh pushes himself forward. 4th and 14 from the Cold Spring Harbor 10. This has to be a good snap. Punt is up in the air. And it takes a nice bounce for Cold Spring Harbor. McHugh let it go, and it is fielded at the Seaford 40.
Interesting turn there. There's a statistic, Dylan, in football that on landed punts that aren't fielded, the average yards of loss, massive study, 17 yards. And about 17 yards right there. That's a statistic for you, right, of gain off the night. I don't think McHugh felt comfortable fielding it there. It's nighttime. You're in the lights. The punt didn't have a whole lot of height on it. So good roll and bounce, good hit and bounce for Cold Spring Harbor.
And that goes from the end zone, right? So that's all the way out to the 40. That's an impressive punt, 60-yard punt there. So Seaford starts at their own 40-yard line. Handoff, first contact, second, still trying to push forward, maybe a yard, if that.
He's tough to bring down right there, I'll tell you.
Yeah, McHugh again.
You better bring 2-3 guys to the ball when he's running the ball.
It's funny you say that. His quote in Newsday from their win against East Rockaway, my mentality, McHugh said, is no one's going to bring me down. I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to run. The only way I'm going down is multiple people. But if it's one-on-one, he says, you're not taking me down.
That's a running back statement right there. That's a guy who's ran the ball a lot in his life. Probably when he was very little, playing in youth football and middle school football and all the way growing up. He's used to being the guy. That's a great statement.
And again, he's got the confidence in the guys up front as well, right? The offensive line of Alzheimer as Seaford calls a timeout. Alzheimer, Schiller, Cole, Donovan, and Kellner. These are big boys up front. A lot of times in Conference 4, you see some of those smaller guys, right? Alzheimer, 6'1", 190. Schiller's the smaller guy. He's the runt of the litters, 5'8", 180. But then you go on the right side. You've got 6'3", 265 in Jason Donovan. That's a nice guy to go run behind.
Sure. In this, you get to the small schools, the smaller schools of football where enrollment is less, you just tend to have less bigger bodies. It's just how it works. Sometimes some of your bigger bodies are your skill position guys because growing up, they've just been those guys and they've been those players. And they have some pretty good-sized guys up front. And, I think both lines are relatively similar in size except for, as you mentioned, Donovan, the junior there, who's 6'3", 265. That's a large man right there. That's a large person.
And what Corcoran likes about him, too, is sometimes the bigger guys don't realize maybe how big they are, and they don't use that to their advantage. He said Donovan is getting that now. He saw that in camp. Stark, back to pass, goes over the middle, is forced in the between, and Riley in and out of his hands. Nearly a pick. Right out at midfield, in and out of C.J. Riley's hands.
A whole bunch of things going on here, Dylan, right now. We had a pass. It looks like we have a flag down. It might be a hold on Seaford. You have an incompletion, but you almost had a interception by C.J. Riley right there. I think for a brief second there were a couple other Cold Spring Harbor defenders around the ball. He might have taken his eye off it just to look to see the other guys, and he lost track of the ball a little bit. And he might have been gone to the house on that one if he catches that one, an athlete of his ability.
Absolutely. So it was a holding penalty. That's going to back Seaford all the way back, it looks like, to their own 31-yard line.
Yeah, Coach Madreski accepts the penalty there, right? And the play is replayed on second down. But now it's 2nd and 20, 19 it looks like.
And we have a little issue here with the chains on the far side, so it's an official timeout.
Beauty of high school football, Dylan. There it is.
You never quite know who you've got on the chain crew, right? A couple dads, some volunteers. Well, they're all volunteers, certainly.
A couple injury guys. You never know
right?
who's there. Yep.
Here you go, 2nd and 19.
Bus driver.
Stark under center. Hands off, far side. McHugh spins, gets out to midfield. A first down and more. McHugh bounces to the outside, inside the 25, and a late hit as well. That is thrown. So add a little injury to the insult. A huge run by McHugh. Backed up, 2nd and 19 from 31. There you see McHugh. No need there, the extra push.
You called it, Dylan. He spun out of one tackle, and he kind of just ran through another. He had some jersey, and he had the old tearaway days, right? 45 yards, that run right there looks like about Dylan.
And what are you tacking on here as well? Is it another 15? He's now got 16 carries for 93 yards, McHugh. And again, not quite the numbers that he had in week 1. Of course, a different competition, but what a week he had in that win. He had touchdown runs of 65 yards, 26 yards, and 43 yards. And again, only played 2 quarters of football in that blowout win against East Rockaway. So after the flag, it pushes them up to the 13-yard line, it appears.
Yeah, a little unfortunate turn of events there for Cold Spring Harbor. A little frustration there at the end of the play. It was a great run by I think they were frustrated they didn't get him on the ground earlier. They had him on 2nd and 19, and he breaks up for a big run, and now you have a first down on the 14-yard line, it looks like, or maybe even going closer.
I think 12, right? I'm looking
12.
at the down. So 1st and 10 from the 12. This time McHugh goes nowhere. Again, good team tackle there. Talkus in there.
Yep. Talkus meets him in the backfield before he get himself going a little bit. Kind of surprised him a little bit, McHugh. I think he was kind of surprised, and all of a sudden he was there. He couldn't get going, you know.
Stern as well, 12. You mentioned him before as well. You've seen McHugh's numbers. You mentioned it before, approaching 100 yards. And again, week 1, a huge outing 8 carries, 149 yards. He won't quite get there, but he'll play a little bit more than two quarters of football. And again, pushes forward. He is tackled from behind. Credit goes to Aiden McKean, that inside linebacker, the senior. Another returning starter, another one of the captains.
Kind of ran a little counter action there. Seaford and McQueen gets off and makes the play. So you saw Seaford kind of get away from the running game a little bit for a series, right? And played some other things, a couple passes and stuff. And now they're right back in the power I look they had, flipping that power back over in the double tight and really trying to push the Seahawks around a little bit.
So here we go, 3rd and 8 from the 11. Motioning out to the left. That is McHugh. Stark looks that way, throws over his head, looking for McHugh. It bounces out of the side of the end zone.
Yep, they motion McHugh to that tight slot there, and he runs a little wheel route. They run a little combo route. They get him on a wheel. I think the split ran a slant wheel combo, and they couldn't hook it up. But nice little play design right there, trying to get your best guy singled up in a one-on-one coverage. But the Colts were with a little bit of pressure. It looks like that was McKean again with pressure on the quarterback. It may have affected the throw.
And Garcia will attempt the field goal. It's from 28 yards. And Cold Spring Harbor calls the timeout. This is an aspect, too, in week 1. So 2 things happen here in week 1 for Seaford in terms of the kicking game. Again, we mentioned it kind of joking, but true. No onside kicks in week 1. Perpal would have had 7 of them, right? Opening kickoff is an onside kick. That's a bit of a tweak, a bit of a change with Corcoran. But he says we got a lot of confidence in Garcia. And when you watch that game on film, so many of those kicks inside the 10. So when you've got a good kicker like that, you go for it, right? No field goal attempts, which is something Corcoran said he wanted to see. Garcia is a soccer kid who, after soccer practice comes in to football. You work some specials with him. He kicked all the extra points. They didn't take one on the last one when it was 48-0. But he said, look, I want to see him. He can kick some field goals.
Sure, having a kicker in high school is, Coach Papal is not your older brother's Coach Papal. That's right, your older brother's Seaford Vikings right now.
Right.
It's a little different. But having a kicker is a good weapon, and we'll see if he can knock it through here. He's kind of got to push it to the right a little bit.
28-yard attempt. He does go that way, and it is good.
That's a nice job right there. That's really, really nice kicking right there.
So Garcia, a 28-yard field goal attempt. It was good. His first on Varsity, and it's 10-0 for Seaford. We've got 4:08 left in the second quarter. We'll take a quick break, and we'll return here. You're watching Nassau Conference 4 football on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Now is the time to promote your business on our broadcasts.
Now Farmiga will fire and find the back of the net.
Top of the key, 4-3, good.
With viewership in the thousands, your company will get the local attention it needs. Best of all, we offer affordable rates. High school sports online. Now is the time to promote your business on our broadcasts.
Now Farmiga will fire and find the back of the net.
Top of the key, 4-3, good.
With viewership in the thousands, your company will get.
We welcome you back to Cold Spring Harbor. Dylan Butler, Mike Hungerford. So thankful you're able to join us here. Game 1 of the slate here for Varsity Media Sports Network of the fall season. 10-0 Seaford. Garcia fresh off a 28-yard field goal attempt. It's fielded by O'Connor at the 20, and he pushes himself out to the 35-yard line. So a 15-yard return, and Cold Spring Harbor will love to get a little something here in the final few minutes of this second quarter.
It would be nice for him to get a little drive going here down 10-0. You know, they haven't had the better of the play and moving the ball and that type of stuff, Dylan. But 10-0 is not by no means insurmountable. But if you're the Seaford guys kicking that field goal mentally, as a coach, it's such a big thing because you've been dominating the game and you're up 7-0, and you're 1 point away from the score being tied, right? And
sure.
it's like, like now all of a sudden you have 10, and even if you have that bad play, hey guys, we're still winning. We're still ahead.
I think it's that, and I think it's also a check mark. We've got a guy in a situation on the road, big crowd, under the lights, who can kick a field goal.
Sure, this is an atmosphere where if you can do it now, you can do it on a Saturday afternoon in most places.
1st and 10 from the 33. Here comes the pressure. Riley ducks it under and gets out to the 40-yard line. You wanted to see him run the football a little bit, and there you see it too. The pressure came, ducks under it, and gets out to the 40.
It certainly wasn't a design draw, it looked like there, Dylan, but there was a little bit of pressure, and he had to step around the rush. And you see some of his athleticism right there, making guys miss, and now puts him in a really nice 2nd and 3 and change. Really makeable situation here in 2 plays.
Mendreski says Riley, as we see it, they are so athletic, really knows the game well on both sides of the football. And the officials wanted to check maybe a little uniform here by Riley. Good game manager, and that's not a bad thing, right? We hear this term now in college and pro about being game managers. Mendreski says he loves it, knows the down and distance, manages the game well. Handoff, cutting inside is Berto and gets close to the 1st down marker.
They had an extra man coming off the edge here, Seaford on the blitz and on the run dog, and they had nobody for him. Cold Spring Harbor and Berto kind of cut that back, and that was one of those plays you call a play, right? You think it's going to go okay where it's going, now you're a man short.
Berto with that run, 6 carries now for 21 yards. We talked to Mendreski about that Seaford North Shore back-to-back, and he said, look, this is as good as a litmus test as we could expect to have right away. If we can hang, look, obviously, best case scenario, take both games. But he said, I think if we split, we'd be happy to go from there at 1-1. He said our team's been in enough big games where we're not scared by the moment. He said, however, I don't know if I'd prefer to have them back-to-back, maybe separate them by a couple weeks, but the schedule is what it is, and it is certainly a good early test for Cold Spring Harbor.
Yeah, I do. I think the hard part when you're a small school and you have your numbers are a little bit less than you would have necessarily at some of the larger high schools, on Long Island, is that, an injury here, an injury there, and those kind of games back-to-back can really put you in a tough spot, So your goal is to kind of get through the 2 games. If you're Cold Spring and you're the preseason 5 seed, and you think right now they're not far off from where Seaford is, there isn't a massive difference. Just got to get through these games healthy and just try to keep building week to week, right? And even if they went 0-2, I still think you have a chance of having a great season, because 2 very good teams in Seaford and North Shore.
Preseason 4, by the way. We don't want to get anybody upset.
Oh, I apologize.
I'm joking.
I'm sorry.
They are the 4, but fresh set of downs. 1st and 10, 44. Look at this look, and a little bit of motion it appears here on offense, but you saw 2 guys split on both sides, so a different bit of a look here. Or did they get the timeout first? I think the timeout came. There was no
Seaford
flag.
called timeout there. They saw Cold Spring Harbor in trips there.
Yeah.
And that bunch formation, that modified bunch formation. There's a lot of things you can do out of that when you throw it out there to them. They might have been a man short Seaford in terms of having enough defenders out there. So call timeout and get organized. Dylan, for Seaford it's week 2. For Cold Spring Harbor it's week 1. But those defensive practices, part of it's just being able to line up to everything. All the formations. Defensive football right now at every level of play is about just getting lined up to all the offenses more than ever. They're using such a variety of formations. So you have enough defenders in the right places. Just getting lined up is so critical.
When we spoke to Mike Corcoran, he says their strength, he thinks, is that we've got pretty good depth. Our numbers aren't huge, but we have a lot of players. They're working on trying to get as many one-way players as possible. That's a key as well when you play in Nassau Conference 4. If you can get a guy only going half the game, that really tries to keep him fresh. So off the timeout, 1st and 10. The pitch comes right and forced out. There was Berto at the 46-yard line.
See a little chess match there, right? So they went trips to the wide side there, and they ended up running a little quick speed option back to the boundary, trying to outnumber and outflank the Seaford guys a little bit there. Gets out of bounds, smart play, saving a little time.
Yeah, clock on the or the time on the clock says 1:34. It was a tad bit off there in that first quarter. So good job by Berto to stop the clock and get a short gain on first down. 2nd and 8 from the 46-yard line.
That trips into the boundary here now.
Ooh, high snap. Riley's got it, and he is swarmed. So the brothers not on the same page there. The Riley brothers, a high snap, and it forces them back. And it just feels early on, it's some self-inflicted wounds here by Cold Spring Harbor, where when they do get some momentum, it's a penalty. It's a situation like this where it's an error that pushes them well back into their own zone. 32-yard line, quick to move. Riley, this time a ton of time. Flush out of the pocket, runs, gets himself outside, pushed out there by McHugh, pushed out at his own 40-yard line.
Yeah, he was trying to throw it downfield. Didn't see receivers come open right away, and ran it out of bounds right there, saved some clock, but now it's 4th down.
Yeah, 4th and 14 from the 40-yard line. As we said, the center is Reagan Riley. Now, he's usually a left tackle, but an injury to Carlo Menino kind of forced a little bit of a shift there up front. C.J. Riley goes deep, looking for O'Connor. It's incomplete. Good coverage there by Tommy Kofod, and it'll be a turnover on downs. And now Seaford can maybe go end zone or make something happen. And again, we've known now they do have a guy who can kick a field goal as well, so maybe you even get it in the field goal position and get maybe 3 more on the scoreboard.
Sure, that I'm not sure exactly what the time exactly is. I don't think Coach Madreski, if there was too much time left, would have gone for it there. I think he probably would have punted the ball, but I think there can't be too much. After probably Seaford's looking at probably trying to get about 20 yards, two first downs worth of 20 yards in order to be in field goal range. Looks like from Garcia from before he had a little extra on that kick.
Well, that could be 2 first downs, or it could be 1 carry by James McHugh. So
it definitely could be. It's
again,
a critical moment in the game for Cold Spring Harbor, though. You kind of don't want to give any more points up here if you can avoid it.
McHugh approaching the century mark. And look at this little trickery. They go this side, and the tackle made. It went initially to McHugh. The reverse comes towards our side to Rauchi.
Yep, it was wide side toss to reverse back, and they had Cold Spring Harbor, to their credit, stayed home. Enough guys stay home, and I believe that was number 23. I think was making the tackle right there, if I'm correct. Aiden Berto might have been on the tackle there. He stayed home, made the play.
So Seaford, clock winding, 10 seconds left. 2nd down from the 34. Stark under center, hands off. It comes this way, pushing forward, going out of bounds, so the clock does stop. Carry by number 24, A.J. Arguello. Arguello, that fullback, but he's a big athletic fullback. And actually, that was the last play of the first half. So we go into the halftime break with the Vikings of Seaford leading Cold Spring Harbor 10-0. We'll get you some first half stats, some highlights as well. When we return, you're watching this Nassau Conference 4 Showdown on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Over the middle, he's got a man. It's complete. Ciolino. See you later.
Going long, wide open for Rossi. He gets it. Rossi, foot raise, 10, 5, make it, touchdown. Punch, counter punch.
The trickery, Ryder gets it back, goes over the top for Haberman.
What a catch! This Ross Simmons strips him. That's loose, and Ross Simmons is going to take this the other direction. Make it! Touchdown! Touchdown East!
As the season winds down, don't let the memories of an unusual season fade. Let Varsity Media relive the season filled with great plays, exhilaration, and joy with a highlight video. For the athletes going to college, Varsity Media's recruiting videos have been the engine that drives the application to the coach. Our history has shown a Varsity Media recruiting video has saved parents hundreds of thousands of dollars. For the athletes not yet ready for college, a Varsity Media highlight video will be remembered forever, and the highlights will be there for life. An end-of-season team highlight video will capture a successful season filled with hard work, unpredictability, a testament to the administration and athletes. Call Varsity Media today to start creating a video filled with highlights from a very unusual season. Highlights that will forever be watched. Contact us at 516-403-2050.
Behind the back!
shot. Mizrahi's feeling it. Make it 3 for 3. And Ciolino, see you later. Here's a chance for Sias, and there's a shot and a goal.
Will Spare will take it all the way. Touchdown Seahawks.
The extra look and the goal. A gorgeous goal by
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
over the middle. He's got a man. It's complete. Ciolino. See you later.
Going long. Wide open. Perazzi. He gets it. Perazzi. Foot raise. 10, 5. Make it. Touchdown. Punch. Counter punch.
Little trickery. Ryder gets it back. Goes over the top for Haberman.
What a catch! Just Ross Simmons strips him. That's loose. And Ross Simmons is going to take this the other direction. Make it. Touchdown. Touchdown East.
the season winds down, don't let the memories of an unusual season fade. Let Varsity Media relive the season filled with great plays, exhilaration, and joy with a highlight video. For the athletes going to college, Varsity Media's recruiting videos have been the engine that drives the application to the coach. Our history has shown a Varsity Media recruiting video has saved parents hundreds of thousands of dollars. For the athletes not yet ready for college, a Varsity Media highlight video will be remembered forever, and the highlights will be there for life. An end-of-season team highlight video will capture a successful season filled with hard work, unpredictability, a testament to the administration and athletes. Call Varsity Media today to start creating a video filled with highlights from a very unusual season. Highlights that will forever be watched. Contact us at 516-403-2050.
Behind the back! Are you serious? No hesitation on the shot. Ms. Rice feeling it. Make it 3 for 3. And Ciolino, see you later. Here's a chance for Flyhouse, another shot, and a goal!
Will Spare will take it all the way! Touchdown Seahawks!
The extra look, and the goal! A gorgeous goal by
We welcome you back to Cold Spring Harbor. Halftime here, Dylan Butler, Mike Hungerford. It's 10-0 for the Vikings. They took a 7-0 lead on a 2-yard touchdown run on 4th down by Tom Kofod. That with 4:08 left in the first quarter. And then Garcia with a 28-yard, Matt Garcia, 28-yard field goal attempt with, ironically, the same amount of time left in the second quarter. So they score with exactly 4:08 left in both quarters. Here's some of your first half stats. You see the Seaford kind of doubling up the rushing numbers. You see 105 yards, 51 yards for Cold Spring Harbor. That goes to two things, I think. One, to James McHugh, but also that push up front that you were talked about from the big guys on the offensive line of Seaford.
Yeah, it seems like, when you look at the play over the first half, we were talking about it during the break a little bit, that on the line of scrimmage, Seaford's had a little bit better of the play. Their players aren't really that much bigger. I think they're kind of relatively similarly sized, but it seems like they're having the better of the play up front and the better of the push. But also, McHugh and the other backs are so talented enough where they're dragging guys, they're yakking guys for the extra couple yards, and that will wear on the defense over the course of the game with a lot of guys playing both ways. Guys will get tired, and you may see now, hopefully, not for Cold Spring Harbor's sake, but the Seaford's probably open for those 3 and 4 yard runs becomes 5, 6, and 7s now as they tire out the Cold Spring Harbor defense a little bit.
Yeah, I think that reverse of it is kind of what you're saying too. A lot of credit has to go, I think, to Cold Spring Harbor's defense. They've done a good job. I mean, McHugh, outside of that one big run that we saw late that ended up with that field goal where he got out of bounds, was a 45-yard run plus the personal foul afterwards. Outside of that, he's not broken a lot of big runs. They've gotten a lot of hats on him early.
Yeah, I think if you're Cold Spring Harbor, what Coach Madreski's got to tell his guys, it's 10-0. Seaford's getting the ball, I believe, to start the half, and you got to one down at a time, right? You got to win the kick, or you got to kick it off, you got to cover it, and you got to make good series on defense, and you got to get a stop. And it's one series at a time, because you haven't had a lot of the quality of the play, but you're only down a touchdown and a field goal, so any turn of events could happen that could swing the game in your favor, but it's not going to happen all at once. You got to play down at a time.
There you see the numbers right there for McHugh, 18 carries for 92 yards. And again, only played 2 quarters last week, so he's fresh as well as McHugh, even though he does go both ways. Of course, that week 1 big win. It's kind of crazy to think, but you've got to go back to the Nassau 4 final in 2019 out at Sherwood Stadium in Hofstra for the last matchup between these two teams. That was won by Seaford 14-8. In the weird sort of spring season that there was, they didn't play each other during the regular season. They didn't match up in the playoffs, so You go back to that 2019 season. Also, the last time that Cold Spring Harbor won, that was a game that we had for you as well. It was right here under the lights. 44-6 win in week 4 of that 2019 season. We mentioned it before. Rich Estriano had 3 touchdown runs. Another Bruno, Jacob Bruno, with 3 touchdowns. The unfortunate thing that Mendreski says is we're down to our last Berto, I should say, as well as Bruno's. But a lot of brothers, a lot of family members.
Yeah,
but no more Bertos after this. This is the last one with Aiden. So we'll see here at Cold Spring Harbor. And
could use some more triplets like the Strianos. Those guys, and a few of those guys.
Yeah, you know them well from your time here as an assistant on the.
Good athletes, good family, great people, and very committed to the Cold Spring Harbor athletic process and playing sports here and representing their community very well.
Yeah, you were like the mayor here at halftime. I mean, people coming from through the press box window into the press. I mean, you were an assistant here with Dennis Bond, obviously, the Cold Spring Harbor terrific lacrosse program before you went on to Farmingdale. But we needed security, I think, at some point. You were just getting mobbed.
I think Dylan's got a little exaggeration going on. Those 3 people became a mob very quickly.
Well, it's a small press box, though. Here we go, opening kickoff and a little bit of trickery here.
Okay.
Good hands there as it's fielded at the 40 by Seaford. It's a little bit of an end-over-end kickoff, and good job by Seaford to make sure that there's no fumbling of the football, so they'll take over on their own 40.
Don't think you want to kick that ball deep to those guys back there, and you'd rather give them a little bit, a little better field position overall without having to deal with those guys running around and try to make a big play out of it.
What a night this is as well, huh? I mean, perfect night here, late summer. Week 1 here for us on the Varsity Media Sports Network. 1st and 10 from the 40. That was Kofod again to the left. Handoff goes to McHugh, and again.
Dylan, I got to add something to what we talked about before. McHugh is a very, very, very good high school football, excellent running back. But if you look at the statistics, right, you said he had 90-something yards in the first half, but he had a 45-yard run mixed in there, right?
Correct.
On his 18 carries, I think you said he had. So he's 17 carries for 40-something, 50-something yards. The Cold Spring Harbor defense right there has done a pretty good job overall. Take that big run out, and they've kind of done a good job against him.
Stark back to pass. Good coverage by O'Connor. Terrific job defensively by O'Connor, the intended receiver. There was number 25, T.J. Harrington.
Cold Spring Harbor guys, O'Connor and Jake Rogers playing the corner spots. Pretty tall guys, 6'1", 6'2", look pretty athletic, had great inside leverage there. And with the ball in the air, we always say it's 50% everybody's ball in the air. It's 50-50, right? 50% the receivers and 50% the defenders, and he went up for it and made a nice play. 3rd and long here for Seaford.
Yeah, 3rd and 9. O'Connor, you mentioned, 6'2", 180, another one of those lax guys. Handoff goes out to midfield. It'll be well short of the first down marker, down at the 46.
Brought that counter back with Kofod there, right? The power back there, getting the ball.
So Kofod gets out to the 46. O'Connor is deep for the expected punt.
You look at this, Seaford's seemingly pretty well in control of the game at 10-0. Seems like they're going to punt here and try to pin Cold Spring Harbor back deep again. And if you're the Cold Spring Harbor guys, Coach Madreski, it's a win for you right now. Came out of halftime, got to stop.
Costello again angles his punt, takes a bounce, and it rolls out of bounds at the 38.
Tremendous game of momentum football, especially in high school, and you have so many guys playing both ways, and you don't have TV timeouts most of the year where you have big gaps in the game, Dylan. And right now you're in a situation where Cold Spring will be getting the ball after a nice stop on defense, maybe trying to build some momentum right here, getting some momentum, and try to get a score here on the board.
Cold Spring Harbor will start on their own 39. This is the start of our broadcast season as well. A little doubleheader here tonight, Division and South Side. Gavin Shaw on the call for that one, and we'll be out at Garden City tomorrow afternoon. Mike and myself. First down run by Taucus. He will get a yard to the 40 at Garden City. Will be Baldwin. Another one of those teams that goes up, goes down. They're in division or conference 2. And what a challenge there for Baldwin, taking on the defending undefeated champions, the machine that is Garden City. Kickoff tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock, right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Looking forward to it, Dylan. We'll be back on the stick again, right?
Yeah. You've passed the audition. Kipnis in motion. Hand off, going nowhere was Taucus. What a terrific tackle. 82. That was O'Donnell. What a young standout this kid is. 6'2", 190. He is a sophomore. Earned his first varsity start last week. He's a two-way guy as well, so on offense, he's playing that nose tackle position where he's constantly getting doubled. A lot of physicality there. He showed himself well.
Yeah, he got off the block right there, and we always say penetration kills everything defensively, right? If you can get penetration on the pass rush and against the run, penetration defeats all plays, and you can see it right there.
Riley fakes the handoff. Pressure comes from the outside. Riley slings it out to the right side. Intercepted right in front of the Seaford bench. And look who it is, 85 for Seaford, Jack Murphy.
Interception by Seaford, number 85, Jack Murphy.
Great diving interception there by Murphy. I can't expect that. Riley saw him there, getting involved in that play. He dove for the ball there. It was a great defensive play. Once again, a little bit of pressure. Riley evaded it.
Well, Murphy's a guy too. He sees time on the other side. A tight end, not just a blocking Nigo. Had a touchdown reception in week 1, so he has great hands. 6'1", 185. Pressure also came by Kellner, who forced Riley out of the pocket and to throw a tough ball.
You don't often see linebackers wearing number 85, but because he plays tight end, offensive numbers matter.
And there goes McHugh pushing himself out to the far side. A little extra burst in those legs by McHugh.
Well, first, I think maybe his first carry of the half, right? Second carry of the half, but he, tossed to the short side of the field right there, trying to get the extra hat. And good 7-yard gain right there. It'll be tough to stop Seaford. If they can get 7 on first down, that puts them in a really good situation from an offensive coordinator's perspective of play calling.
McHugh now 19 carries for 99 yards. Toss, cutting inside out to the 40-yard line. That looked to be, yes, it was McHugh again.
Ran the toss this time to the wide side of the field, into the 2 receiver set to the twin side, to the split and the slot. Using the slot to try to get leverage on that walkaway defender. You see him trying to get some outflank him a little bit, get the extra man in the blocking scheme. Seaford, good coaching right there.
1st and 10 from the 39-yard line. Man in motion to the left. Handoff again, toss inside. Really read well. A flag, though, comes down. It was Degnan, 53, with the tackle. Returning starter up front.
Interestingly there, they motioned that slot receiver away to the other side of the formation, and then they ran the toss that time. And I think there seemed to be a man short there, Seaford.
And they called a face mask and a personal foul face mask as well. What a killer that is, because it pushes them up 15 yards. You get the first down as well, and just when you figure Degnan makes a terrific tackle, again, a penalty has hurt Cold Spring Harbor.
Those plays, when it's not going your way on a night like it is right now, Cold Spring Harbor, those plays seem to appear, right, Dylan? They seem to appear for you.
20 carries now, 104 yards. 1st and 10 from the 24-yard line. Kicking it to the outside. Another flag. The run there by Arguello, 24.
Yeah, give it to the fullback there, right? Kind of break a tendency right there of not giving the ball to McHugh. Give it to the fullback, and he kind of bends it out to the outside. I think there's another face mask again.
I thought he was it seemed like he was grabbed by the arm, but
I thought so too, but no, maybe it's coming back with a hold. I was going to say.
yeah. And this is a product certainly of early season football, right? Even though Seaford's in their second week of competition, Cold Spring Harbor in their first. We see it on all levels, right? We've seen it in the college level as well, those early flags to start the season.
Dylan, you know who else in their first week of competition? The officials.
That's true.
Football's a unique game in the high school level where there's not a lot of officiating taking place outside the season, right? So these guys got to get in their rhythm of the game, too, for the year.
1st and 12. And good job by Cold Spring Harbor.
Good job rallying to the football. Go
Yeah.
Hats. Cold Spring Harbor has by the ball. Good job. And that's what you're going to take to tackle these running backs. One man doesn't get them on the floor too often. We saw Torcas early in the first half on a single-man tackle, and maybe McQueen with a couple single-man tackles. But for the most part, you need 2 or 3 guys to get the Seaford running backs to the ground.
And that was Kofod with the run. 2nd and 13 from the 26-yard line.
Still not probably in field goal range for Garcia yet, Dylan. Probably need at least another 5, 6, 7 yards, get to the 20, just inside of it. So if the Cold Spring Harbor guys can hold here a little bit.
The motion is to Kofod. He gets the handoff, gets to the outside, and he is wrestled down by Degnan.
A little jet sweep action there. Fly sweep.
So Degnan with the tackle.
That one seemed a little better, Dylan, than the rest time they ran the first half. It seemed the timing was a little off in the first half. That one seemed a little bit better. Blocked a little bit better. Now you got 3rd and 7.
Two-man backfield. It goes to McHugh. Kicks it to the outside. Good tackle by O'Connor. It will be just short of the first down marker by about less than a yard, it appears, from the far side.
McHugh is very decision in his running there, Dylan. You know, he put 1 foot in the ground and bounced to the outside, and he's got great acceleration. And just when you think you have him for maybe 1 or 2, he gets 6.
So decision time here, and it'll result in a conversation here for Seaford. Last time they had a 4th down and deep, we saw Garcia come on, kick a field goal, and that's probably part of that conversation now with Corcoran and his staff.
I think if you see the guys, and of course they're coaching the team and I'm not doing, but I think you go for it here because Cold Spring Harbor hasn't really demonstrated that you have played pretty good defense. They haven't really been able to move the ball all that well consistently. So you figure you go for it if you don't make it. They have a long field, still down 10-0, Cold Spring Harbor. But if you get it and you're able to punch it in here and get up 17-0, that put Cold Spring Harbor in a really difficult position for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, definitely.
Once again, that momentum, right? I call them those momentum plays.
You look at their week 1 win, it was 48-0 at the half. A lot of substitutions, a lot of fresh bodies in the second half. So East Rockaway's 2 touchdowns came in the second half when a lot of the subs were in for Seaford. Their starters really only played 1 half of football. So 4th and 1 from the 14-yard line. It goes to McHugh, finds a hole, kicks it to the outside and gets a first down run and gets himself just outside the 10-yard line. What a hole that opened up for McHugh.
Hole opened up, and it did close up relatively quickly. It was pretty good defense there by the Seahawks. But when you only need a yard and you give up 3, you say, oh, giving up 3 yards isn't terrible. But, you know, giving up 3 yards isn't terrible. But on 4th and 1, it's not what you need there right now. You know, not what Cold Spring Harbor needed.
So first down run by McHugh.
Is that him? He think he's down right there. He might be. Looks like
I think he looks like just cramping up.
Yep.
It's not. I mean, I would say it's a beautiful night here. Certainly, it's not humidity and the heat that you see here in the early season here. But he's done a lot of running.
He's done a lot of running, and definitely, you know, kids try to convince the players that they have to hydrate so much because there's a bus ride, there's a warm up, there's all those things that go into the game, and you practiced yesterday, and it was a little more humid yesterday than it was today, and the amount of draining of energy and fluids from your system. But sometimes everyone approaches that a little differently, and bodies react differently, and those lean, muscular type guys, generally the running back type guys, tend to have that issue, a little bit more.
Well, these teams were out on the practice field or the warm-up field at 5:15 because of that terrific ceremony that we had here on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and we see McHugh being helped off. So certainly, as you mentioned, you kind of see the way he's coming off. It looks like one of those cramping issues for him.
The difficulty of playing with those cramps is, you try to go back in the game a little too quick. It can lead to a muscle pull, and especially in spots like calves and hamstrings and lower leg injuries. Those pulls can be, if you're a running back, can be very debilitating to a season. You lose, you get a hamstring or you get a calf strain. So probably gonna be pretty careful with him right now.
So A.J. Barone likely to be the guy here to maybe spell McHugh. Inside handoff and pushing forward. Look to be Kofod again,
yep,
3.
Kofod on the counter. That's been that's kind of been their alternate. Toss it to McHugh, blast, but lead to McHugh, and then come off of it and give it to Kofod on that power back counter.
They've got a lot of versatility there as well, where you've got like a Barone I was just talking about. He could run power back. He could run tailback as well. Kofod is the power back. Arguello as well, an option even though he's a fullback. There he is, Arguello, pushing himself forward.
Downhill running by Arguello right there. He dropped his pads and lowered his level and legs and hips and yacked it up. Tough runner.
Yeah, again, another one of these quiet guys, but he just goes about his work, knows his role. He started as an offensive guard a year ago, Arguello. So when you have him out there, especially in a blocking situation, it's like having that extra offensive lineman. But you see there the athleticism as well by Arguello.
Pretty good job by Berto getting him on the ground, because he had a good forward lean going there. Nice tackle by Berto.
3rd and goal from the 7. Man in motion, toss. Looking to cut inside. I think that was Kofod again, and he's pushed back. Degnan, 53, in on the tackle. 58, Aiden McKean as well. And another injured Viking on the far side of the field.
Good job by the Seahawks kind of setting the edge in that toss. They motion the receiver across the formation, trying to give him an extra blocker, right? And the Colts Beloved guys come off the blocks, use good leverage, get their hands on, eyes off, track the football and make the play. Looks like hopefully just a cramp again here, Dylan.
It'll be a 4th down when play resumes, a 4th and goal. Seaford leading Cold Spring Harbor, 10-0, 4:31 left, which is kind of bizarre when you think about it, because what was the time of the two scores? 4:08 was on the clock in the first quarter. 4:08 was on the clock in the second quarter as well. And we are approaching that number pretty rapidly here.
You speak about Seaford, and they're having a good number of players. And A.J. Barone, I think these are the first snaps he's taken. Times he had the ball been in the backfield the first time all game, really, right? And he's a good athlete, A.J. And for him, not to be getting more reps in the backfield shows you the kind of players they have back there,
And another field goal attempt here. 23-yard attempt. This one is up and plenty of distance. It is good. So Garcia goes 28 yards for his first field goal, 23 yards for his second field goal, and he gives Seaford a 13-0 lead with 4:18 left in the third quarter. We'll take a quick break, bring you back here. You're watching this Nassau Conference 4 showdown on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
As the season winds down, don't let the memories of an unusual season fade. Let Varsity Media relive the season filled with great plays, exhilaration, and joy with a highlight video. For the athletes going to college, Varsity Media's recruiting videos have been the engine that drives the application to the coach. Our history has shown a Varsity Media recruiting video has saved parents hundreds of thousands of dollars. For the athletes not yet ready for college, a Varsity Media highlight video will be remembered forever, and the highlights will be there for life. An end-of-season team highlight video will capture a successful season filled with hard work, unpredictability, a testament to the administration and athletes. Call Varsity Media today to start creating a video filled with highlights from a very unusual season. Highlights that will forever be watched. Contact us at 516-403-2050.
We welcome you back to Cold Spring Harbor. Dylan Butler, Mike Hungerford here. 13-0 is your score. And Garcia, a deep kick right at the 10-yard line. He's feeling it a little bit. Good return here as well. Out to about the 28-yard line. So Rogers again, another positive return. You're starting, it's not desperation time yet, right? But with 4 minutes left, you've got to get some momentum. You've got to move those chains a little bit if you're Cold Spring Harbor.
Cold Spring Harbor down 13-0. It's really you're only down 2 touchdowns. So if you could just get a play, get a few plays, break something here, all of a sudden you put a little pressure on Seaford now, who's, I would say, had the much better of the overall play in the game, Dylan, but you put a little pressure on them to move the ball again. And Dylan, how many times have you seen in a public high school game a kicker kick 2 field goals in the game? Great job by Garcia, but the Cold Spring Harbor defense has stiffened. They bent a little bit in the middle of the field, and then they've stiffened a lot close to the goal line. So it took them 4 downs to score in the first touchdown too as well. Seaford.
1st and 10 from the Cold Spring Harbor 29. Toss comes towards us. Taukus cuts it back inside. A nice run there on 1st down. Gets out to about the 38. Gain of 9.
Yep. Maybe that's a momentum play. The Seahawks need to kind of get themselves going. Get a 9-yard play on 1st down.
Taukus now 7 carries for 20 yards.
That free running room has been tough to come by. The Seaford defense has been running to the football and doing a good job.
Taukus again. 1st down and more. Out past or right at the 45-yard line. That's exactly what you needed for Cold Spring Harbor. You move the chains, maybe get a little momentum going. And again, one of the better players, we talk about him on the offense, but also defensively as well is what McHugh brings as an inside linebacker. So, you lose him to a cramp, and now it's a couple positions as well. Good stop by Taukus, bounces it to the outside, and he's pulled out at the 40. He pumps the brakes for a loss and gets out to the 40 before he's pulled out of bounds.
Yeah, it's a great run by Taukus right there. You said pump the brake, had a little stop and go move there, and he was able to make a man miss and get some good yards. That might be the momentum plays that they need, right?
What a job there by Taukus, who's now got 9 carries for 41 yards. And like you said, it looked like he was hit for a loss. Great control of his body there as well, right? Where he's able to pump the brakes, cut it to the outside. And some more cramping going on. This time it's O'Connor, number 2 for Cold Spring Harbor. He's out of bounds right now, but I guess because he's so close to the sideline, you've got to take a timeout.
I guess the officials have determined that he's, close enough to where he could be a factor in the play in terms of getting run up by somebody, a hit. So they're going to let them work this cramping situation out, which I think Cold Spring Harbor using a few less players overall than Seaford may help them a little bit. But also you have to have some momentum, and you got these momentum plays and you want to keep it going. Now all of a sudden you're in the cramp mode.
So good reception here for O'Connor as he's up now and stretching himself out on the sideline.
So you've had some couple plays here now. I kind of wonder if when the Cold Spring Harbor guys might take a shot to the end zone or take a shot with a ball here, because the Seaford guys have been pretty respectful of the pass in terms of their alignment defensively. McHugh back in the game here. Yep, here he is. But they've been playing with two safeties, and they're pretty respectful of C.J. Rowley's passing ability with the two safeties, right? But maybe they're going to bring one down in the box now, since the run's been a little bit more effective.
Riley in shotgun, first down, turns, hands off to Taucus, pushes it up the middle, and this time not getting much, perhaps a yard. It looks more like a no gain here on, actually they get a yard to the 40.
Seahawks number 5, Charles Taucus, runs it up the middle.
And you
Stopped by the Vikings, number 85, Jack Murphy.
see Jack Murphy again. We spoke about earlier, that linebacker wearing number 85, right, coming in making plays.
Second and 9.
So Taucus getting the rock a lot here now on this drive. Another high snap. This time Taucus there to block. Throw goes over the middle. Was it picked off? No, the ball was down. The ball was down. The official on the back had a great vantage point of it. Seaford thought Raucci had the pick. Let's watch it again. Hard to tell there. I mean, Raucci certainly sold it, right? He's
sure. You always get up and act like you always do that, right? But the official's pretty close there and had a pretty good view. Thought it was incomplete. High school football, right? No replays or anything like that, other than for us occasionally here. So
Raucci week 1 returned a punt for a touchdown. Tremendous speed from him. 39 from the 40. Here comes the pressure. And Riley is sacked again. A little extra physicality by the Vikings, but the pressure came from Arguello. Here it is again. Watch 24 at the bottom of your screen. And he got a piece of that sack. 56 as well, Kellner. So what Arguello did there was kind of just run Riley right in to his fellow end in Kellner.
Yeah, they're always seeming right. The Seaford guys, doing a good job of bringing one more guy when the Cold Spring Harbor guys could block.
A couple injured players for Cold Spring Harbor. We'll take a quick break as they get worked out at midfield. 13-0 Seaford. 2:15 left in the third quarter. You're watching this Nassau Conference 4 showdown on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Over the middle, he's got a man. It's complete. Ciolino. See you later.
Going long, wide open for Rossi. He gets it. Rossi, foot raise, 10, 5, make it. Touchdown. Punch, counter punch.
The trickery, Ryder gets it back. Goes over the top for Haberman.
What a catch! This Ross Simmons strips him, that's loose, and Ross Simmons is going to take this the other direction. Make it! Touchdown! Touchdown East!
Welcome back to Cold Spring Harbor. Dylan Butler, Mike Hungerford here. Just when it appeared that Cold Spring Harbor had some momentum, a ball that was nearly picked off, followed by a sack, means a 4th and 15 out at midfield. We're seeing a lot of cramping right now. Kipnis went out, O'Connor before as well. They are back to punt. We saw a great punt, a 60-yarder in that first half for Cold Spring Harbor. High in the air. It is fielded at the 15, and great coverage there as well downfield by Jesse Phelan. And here you see it again.
That punt had a lot of nice height on it, gave the Cold Spring Harbor guy time to get under it, and Jesse Phelan just gets enough, trips him up. Great coverage play, loss of a couple yards there on the return. you know, maybe you're in the stand saying to yourself, why the Cold Spring Harbor guys punting? They're down 13-0. But there's still some time here, you know. There's still some time in the game here, and the whole quarter to play. So, got to play the percentages.
That'll be the last play of the third quarter. We'll take a quick break. Final 12 minutes coming up. It's 13-0 Seaford. You're watching this Nassau Conference 4 showdown on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Varsity Media is the tri-state area's leader in sports media production. We specialize in live streaming.
Gargiulo over the middle. He's got a man. It's complete. And Ciolino. See you later. Touchdown, Massapequa.
Videography. And photography. Covering all sports at all levels. We feature aerial photography and videography, college recruiting videos, live streaming of games.
Top of the key, Smith. Why not? Wow. Bang! McKee, first down and more! Charlie McKee! Touchdown, Oceanside!
School.
Welcome back to Cold Spring Harbor. First play of the fourth quarter. Seaford in control. It's a run up the middle. They're scoring so far a 2-yard touchdown run by Kofa. That was on 4th and goal. Midway through late in the first quarter. And then a couple of field goals by Garcia, 28 yards, 23 yards. Collectively, they've done a great job defensively as well, has Seaford. And as a result, they are at 13-0. Man in motion. Handoff. There's McHugh. Breaks 2 tackles out to midfield before he is pulled down by Taucus.
Yeah, Cold Spring Harbor guys over the course of the night, Dylan, have done a pretty good job defensively containing him. He had a 45-yard run earlier, and he has this one now. It's probably in the 20s or 30s, right, yard run. And, you know, but you say to yourself, well, it's 2 big runs. It's almost 80 yards. But he has a lot of carries, and he's a very good back. It's just they're kind of like the Seaford guys just keep finding plays and finding ways to keep the ball moving, you know.
Talked to Corcoran. I said, you know, Seaford's had these guys who have been able to get 30 carries in a game, just workhorses. As ball gets out to the 40, looks like Degnan again in on the tackle. There you see the numbers right now. Corcoran was saying, well, I hope I don't have to use him for 30 carries, but there you see it already. He's got 25 for 132. He's been kept out of the end zone, but still leading the way, rushing the football today for Seaford.
I think, Dylan, my prediction would be he might get 5 more before it's over. You know, and they may need 5 more from him before it's over.
2nd and 8 from the 40-yard line. Again, man in motion. Inside handoff. Another
fullback.
Lid comes off. The fullback has been Arguello, and looks like that is him as well. 24, Arguello with the carry.
Run, number 24, Anthony Aguillo.
Third down here. Pretty big play here for the Cold Spring Harbor defense now. It's 3rd and 5 from the 44-yard line, and if you kind of hold them to not too many yards here, 1 or 2, and I think probably Seaford would punt again.
What's tough here, though, too, Mike, is you're without McKean, your inside linebacker. He lost his lid. You've got to come off in high school football, so let's see what impact that might have. Same play here.
Yep.
And same result for Cold Spring Harbor.
Got a couple there down to about 4th and 2 on their own 47. You know, long 1, short 2, whatever you want to call that, Dylan, right? That in-between yardage down. And I think interesting to see what happens here.
I think you got to go, right? I mean, considering the down and distance and The score as well.
Looks like they're going for it here, though. That's yep, like you said, Dylan. Back in that power eye.
Handoff. McHugh bounces off the first tackle. Look at the push that he gets for the first down out to the 50.
Yeah, initial contact was great. Initial contact at point of attack. I think you had Berto in there and a couple of the D linemen on that right side in there. And but he got a little, keeps his legs going and gets just enough to get over the necessary yardage and keep the drive moving.
And probably equally as important, Mike, to keep the clock going as well.
Sure, this is where those 2 and 3s maybe becomes 5s and 6s now, Dylan. You know, the Cold Spring Harbor guys got to be a little tired on defense.
Oh, some movement up front, and that'll back up Seaford. It came from this near side of the line, this left side of the Seaford offensive line. Alzheimer's 63. They've played a pretty clean game, though, Seaford, to this point. Not many flags thrown against them.
They've had the better of the play in terms of less mistakes, and maybe we spoke in the being in the broadcast. Maybe having played a game is a factor there. We'll never really exactly know.
Pitch. Cutting to the outside. It's McHugh again. And he gets to the 31-yard line. There's a flag, though, back at the 41. It'll be picked up, though. See him again there, just bouncing through 2 defenders, getting to the outside, pulled down. This is when you mentioned it, too. It's becoming more than 4 and 5. I think it's the situation up front, but also you got to give credit to McHugh, right? We've seen him cramping up before. He just seems to be taking his game to another level here in the fourth quarter.
You just certainly can't arm tackle him, unless you're much bigger than him and you get, it's not going to work. We do have a penalty here.
Oh, yeah. So I saw the one official, looked like he picked up his flag, but there was another flag there, and it looks to be a block in the back.
So that's a spot foul. They'll bring it back 10 yards from the spot of the foul.
So initially I thought they had just picked up the flag. We saw it at the 41-yard line, so that was the infraction. It backs Seaford to the 50-yard line.
Yeah, it takes away a lot of that good run by McHugh there, but as I was saying before, he's not a guy you can arm tackle, But what I've noticed is he does a really good job of having that ball pinned up and those points of pressure really hard. And some guys are trying to tackle the ball, and he's got that thing pinned pretty hard. He's not going to go down that way.
We're at the point of the game, too, where Cold Spring guys are going to have to, as you mentioned, try to get that.
See that ball right there? They had a hand on it right there.
They're trying to strip him. I mean, look, you need to try to force a mistake and maybe get a turnover. But McHugh just too strong for that. Gets out to the 39-yard line to move the chains.
Problem with that stripping, Dylan, is the first man can't really be the stripper. You have to start securing the tackle and let the second and third man be the punch-out, rip-out guy.
McHugh, 28 carries for 151 yards. The only thing he hasn't done yet is get in the end zone. 1st and 10 from the 39-yard line. Pitch again. Why not? Rinse and repeat. Taucus in on the tackle for Cold Spring Harbor. And McHugh gets out to about the 36-yard line.
It looks like Michael Schmidt, number 85 in the game, playing some DN, had a chance at him, but he just makes him miss just a little bit. It takes a 2-yard loss into a 3.5, 4-yard gain. That's what the great running backs do, though, Dylan, is they never have losses. They don't have -2s and 3s. They might have a 1 and a 0. That might have been a 2 or it's -2 or 3, but they don't get caught in the backfield too much. Is your fullback coming back?
Arguello, good tackle. Got to say, it's Cold Spring Harbor is up against it right now, but there's certainly some positives here. McKean, inside linebacker, 58, great size there too. 6'3", 215, big kid, physical kid, likes to make the contact. he's had a very good game as an inside linebacker.
I'll tell you, we can see it. Ethan Berto right now. He's not worn out yet. He could go 6 more quarters. It looks like he's fired up and he's running to the football and trying to make plays right now.
I was waiting for you to name the wrong Berto. Aiden
Berto. I'm sorry. And,
no, it was bound. It was bound to happen. 3rd and 6. Cutting inside, and here's the run to the end zone that McHugh has deserved. A 35-yard touchdown for Seaford.
Cold Spring Harbor does such a good job at the point of attack that he decides to cut it all the way back, and I don't think that the backside linebacker was home there. A backside player, he just makes a miss. Great vision by McHugh to cut that back. So many kids would never cut that back. They just run into the traffic there and get a 1-yard gain or a loss. But McHugh has the vision to turn it into a touchdown. Great run. Great run.
Well, as we said, did a little bit of everything except get into the end zone. Does there. When we consider there's 5:59 left in the 4th quarter, certainly feels like that is a knockout blow for Seaford. And look at the numbers now.
There's your 30th carry right there.
There's the 30th. There's the touchdown. So he's got 4 touchdowns on the year as well and 189 yards. So if he does run the ball a little bit more, maybe gets himself 200 yards in this game. They'll go for 2. Stark back to pass, going nowhere. Pulled down. A combination there. Berto, 23. Leading the way.
Like I said before, still playing. Here it is, Aiden Berto, still playing right there. And to the Cold Spring Harbor guys' credit, they played the whole game. They haven't stopped playing. They played every down. They just got outdone on the previous play by McHugh right there. But they're still playing. There's a lot of things to build on if you coach Madreski. Right now is effort and how hard you played. And listen, he's got 189 yards, but it took him 30 carries to get there. So
yeah, a week ago, McHugh had 8 carries for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns in 2 quarters. Now, obviously, there's a difference between an East Rockaway and a Cold Spring Harbor, but it speaks to sort of what Cold Spring Harbor has forced McHugh to do. They forced him to play 4 quarters today, and 2 big breakout runs really is the difference, I think, for McHugh in this game. You see the numbers again, 30 carries for 189 yards and 1 touchdown. We look at the upcoming schedule for both teams. Cold Spring Harbor in their week 2, well, they'll go to North Shore. That's their obvious top 2 games, right? Seaford and North Shore. And there you see McHugh again. They'll go to Oyster Bay. They're home for West Hempstead. Then you've got Island Trees, Friends, Clark, and East Rockaway. So after those top 2, some games you would say
no disrespect
right
to
there,
every school you mentioned,
yep.
But you would say to me if I was a betting man, there's some Cold Spring Harbor wins in there,
Seaford, after that 48-14 win, looks like they're likely here to go 2-0. They'll go to Lawrence, never an easy place to go, and then a big showdown week 4 at North Shore. Could be a championship game preview. Then they've got Clark, a bye, Malvern, and Island Trees to end the regular season. Return from the 5-yard line, and that's another aspect
nice
here
return.
for Cold Spring Harbor. When they watch this tape, their specials have been very good. This time it was O'Connor. We've seen Rogers before with some big returns as well.
We got to see right now they're running 6 players off the field, came off for Cold Spring Harbor, who were on kickoff return, who were not starting on the starting offensive group. And I don't know if some of them were on the starting defensive group, but those are some of the big reps those guys get, right? 4 seconds at a time to make plays, and that was a great return. That's something to build off of there if you're Cold Spring Harbor as well. We'd definitely like to get some points on the board before the game ended here if you're Cold Spring, offensively. But going back to McHugh for a second, Dylan. What's great about him is he's a home run hitter. He can get you to big runs, but he can get you to 1s and 2s too. And there aren't too many kids that have the ability to do both those things. They're going to get you to big run, and they're going to get you 1 and 2.
Riley over the middle, and that time it looks like he is picked off. We'll see it again. Tries to go over the middle. And there is the INT. Looked to be 58 for Seaford. Was it a 58? I don't have one on their roster. If it was 56,
couldn't really tell
it was
right there.
Kellner.
Great job jumping underneath that route, though.
Interception by the Vikings.
So 4 minutes left. So again,
got an injury on the field there, looks like Dylan. But, going back to McHugh, we were talking before about, he can get you to 1, he can get you to 2, he can get you the short yardage you need, and then all of a sudden he gets you to home run. So he's a special guy. Not a lot of guys can do that.
it's Riley, C.J. Riley, I've got to say, at the QB, who a little bit shaken up on that play.
He got the wind knocked out of him a little bit there when he threw the interception. Might have gotten hit there.
When we spoke to Mendreski about keys to playing a Seaford, he said you've got to do a few different things against Seaford. You've got to play mistake-free football. First and foremost, they're always so well-disciplined and coached. They line up, they play football, they shake your hands after, very respectful group. He said you've also got to match their physicality, and then if we stick to our game plan and execute, good things could happen. But he said if 1 and 2 doesn't happen, 3 is kind of a moot point.
I would like to say, Coach Mendreski's part, that they matched a lot of the physicality. Nice play right there.
And Kofod taken down by Takis.
I thought they matched the physicality quite a bit in the game, back and forth with them, and made some plays along the way. But they certainly, unfortunately, weren't mistake-free. Dylan had some penalties, a couple turnovers, and seemingly couldn't get more than 2 or 3 plays in a row without something happening, unfortunately, to them to set them back a little bit.
Yeah, you mentioned McHugh's couple big home run runs. You haven't seen that big breakout play by Cold Spring Harbor. A couple first down runs, but nothing of that 30, 40-yard variety to maybe really shift the field. 1 yard gain. Handoff goes back to McHugh. They will keep him in bounds as he ran along the Cold Spring Harbor sideline.
Number 1, James McHugh, tackled by Cold Spring Harbor's number 23, Aiden
Berto in on the tackle out to the Cold Spring Harbor 38.
This is the parts of a game, Dylan, that make football the tough sport that it is. One team is 4 minutes, it looks like, on the scoreboard. If the clock is correct and change from winning the game, the other team is not going to win the game, and you still got to line up and play every down,
Stark under center. And again, they'll motion to the left. They go the opposite side. McHugh's got a blocker, gets to the outside. A first down run and more. Gets him over 200 yards on the game.
Trying to stay in bounds there, McHugh. He's kind of slashing to the sideline there, but you can tell he's trying to stay in bounds. Once they step a change again in high school football, clock will restart. And he's very observant, understand the game, understand a clock should run.
We said over 200. Well, just over. There's his 32 carries for 203 yards and a touchdown. The workhorse that is James McHugh. We listed him as our impact player, and what an impact McHugh has made.
Nostradamus there, Dylan. Nostradamus all the way.
So let's see. Let's look at his numbers now, right? So he's at 203 and a touchdown. In week 1, we mentioned before, only played half the game, but he had 8 carries for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns. Inside handoff. It's Arguello, the fullback, bounces, pushes himself forward, gets right about a yard away from the first down marker.
He's a tough runner. You got Torkus, who's our impact player for Cold Spring Harbor, right? With Torkus scraping over to make the play, and he gives him everything he's got. I mean, obviously fatigued at this point, but Arguello's able to run through him a little bit. Pretty hard to run through Torkus. He's a tough player, and showed me a lot today with his toughness. And Seaford will go a long way with this bevy of running backs they have here.
Well, that was the point I was about to make as well. Right on cue here. You've got McHugh, your lead back, right? You've got Arguello, you've got Kofod, you've got Barone as well. A lot of different guys to impact the game. There's Arguello. Bounces it outside, spins, a late flag as well. We'll see if it's either going to come back or if it might be another. When you see a guy spin like that, a lot of times it ends up being another face mask type of penalty.
Oh, early in the season, Dylan, too, tackling's always at a premium. You see it on TV in football, in college, in the NFL. Not a lot of live tackling being done at any level of football anymore because of the trying to keep kids safe and trying to do it safely. And people are tackling bags and rings and all different things. And all of a sudden tonight, you got to tackle that live moving human, and that changes things a little bit. And even last night in the NFL game, you saw some missed tackles along the way of guys who, probably haven't tackled live bodies all that much. And that tackling on the NFL will improve as the season goes on. I would guarantee it. And it'll improve for the Coach Harbor guys, too, as well, as the season goes on.
Offensive holding penalty. So proof that Corcoran will have something to complain about. He said he didn't have too much in week one, right? 48-14 win when you get out to a 48-0 halftime lead. A few different technique things that he said that he wanted to iron out from week one, but a terrific performance here in week two, 19-0, going perhaps for more. How about that tackle again by Taukus?
Still playing Taukus. Love it. Him and Taukus and Berto have given it everything they've had tonight. Good for them. Good for them. Dylan, the man I spent many years coaching football with, Buddy Krumenacker, had a saying. He would say that you're always fixing in football. There's always things to fix. When 11 men have to do the same thing at the same time, it doesn't always happen when they're all perfect on every play. There's always something to fix. And he says on the last play, the last game of the season, there'll always be something to fix. And I think if you approach football in that respect, as Coach Corcoran has mentioned, that he's off to a great start, 2-0 in his rookie season here as the head coach of Seaford, and he has a nice club to work with and looks like great kids, and he'll find plenty of things to work on.
There's that reverse again. Getting to the outside was Raucci. We will see Coach Krumenacker in a week's time. Farmingdale and Oceanside, always a game that you circle on your calendar. Should be a fun one. Under the lights out at Oceanside, one of the best atmospheres, certainly, in high school football. That should be a lot of fun next Friday.
Absolutely. Should be a great game between two of the top teams traditionally in Conference 1. And obviously, Oceanside will probably one of the top returning players on Long Island.
For sure.
Charlie McKee headed off to Stony Brook to play quarterback.
Yeah.
And should be a very good game.
Another college-bound quarterback out of Long Island. We've seen a few of those, right? Jack Cohn doing his thing for Notre Dame as a graduate student. Cheshire from last year, right, from Sayville. Had a great week one as well. Quarterback factory that is Sayville, some more tough running.
Dan Villari getting some reps at Michigan, playing quarterback, right? Getting a few reps at quarterback, so the Long Island quarterback factory continues.
It does indeed. And last year there was a question, right? Is Cheshire the best? Is it McKee? Well, there is no question. I think this year McKee is your number one returning quarterback, and he will be a force. That's going to be in a week's time. Right now, this one is final. So Seaford behind the hard running of James McHugh, over 200 yards, a touchdown as well. Kofod a touchdown, and a pair of field goals by Garcia. And that defensive unit, give them a lot of credit. They get the shutout as well. 19-0, your final score. Quality week 2 win for Seaford. Tough loss, but certainly a lot of positives for Cold Spring Harbor to draw on going into their second week next weekend.
A great win for Seaford to be 2-0 against a quality opponent in Cold Spring Harbor. And there's James McHugh, obviously our impact player before the game and the impact player of the game here tonight. And
looks like he could run to Seaford right now. He doesn't need the bus.
Man, he's still got some juice in his tank. Get him a couple more carries on the way to the bus.
He deserves to dance a little bit there.
But I do think there'll be better days ahead for the Seahawks, and they have some talented athletes, and I don't think they'll see the Seaford defense week in and week out, and they'll have a lot to build off of. And Coach Madreski, a veteran in this sport here, done it a few years and been very successful. He'll find ways to improve, and they'll get on the winning side of things very soon.
Yeah, so Seaford improves to 2-0 on the season. And again, they will head next weekend to Lawrence with a 2-0 record, and Cold Spring Harbor, this is their first game of the year. So they're 0-1 as they go to take on North Shore next weekend as well. So good win by Seaford, and a great atmosphere. And also, we didn't get a chance to say it, but kudos to everybody here at Cold Spring Harbor for a terrific ceremony before the start of the game, the 20th anniversary of 9/11. If you missed it at all, you could watch it again on our as a replay here on Varsity Media Sports Network. But a lot of these ceremonies will happen throughout Long Island, and certainly Cold Spring Harbor deserves a lot of credit for a really classy pregame ceremony as well.
Yep, Dylan, great ceremony here. All the people involved, I know they did a tremendous job here, and several people involved in the administration and the athletic director, Mike Pangino, and several other people did a great job with the ceremony. All over Long Island, we'll see it this weekend. And 20 years, man, pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, never forget. Final score here from Cold Spring Harbor: Seaford 19-0. For my broadcast partner Mike Hungerford, for Ben Turchin, Tony DeMasso, and our eyes upstairs, Becca Kazaks and Jack Schumann as well. Dylan Butler, thanking you for joining us. We hope to see you tomorrow as well. We flipped the script. We go out to Garden City, Baldwin, Garden City, 2 o'clock kickoff. See it tomorrow right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Good night, everyone.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.